In the quiet hospital room, Shen Qing lay motionless under the slow IV drip. Suddenly, a fragile petal landed. It lightly brushed against his cheek. He jolted awake, springing up as if escaping death. Gasping, he removed the oxygen tube, scanned the room, then looked at his trembling hands. In shock, he muttered in disbelief that he had come back to life. He quickly lifted the blanket, and his face instantly lost color. His legs were wrapped in bandages, showing the aftermath of amputation. Shaking all over, he gritted his teeth, eyes full of hatred and forced calm. A girl in a short uniform skirt with twin pigtails rushed in crying, hugging him joyfully for waking up. She vowed to find and punish the one who caused his accident. She also believed his legs would recover. He froze as chaotic memories surged, realizing he had returned 1 year earlier. Back then, from the youngest, richest chairman in the nation, he became crippled in a traffic accident. With his legs gone, his career collapsed. During treatment, Xiao Tiancai, his trusted brother, seized the corporation. He exploited his condition, forcing his sister to marry him for treatment money. Worse, he humiliated her in front of him. At that time, Shen Qing could only crawl on the floor, screaming helplessly, mocked like a barking dog. In the end, he could only watch his sister be abused without saving her. Later, the game Divine Atlas Across the Sky launched, with perfect realism, quickly going global. Characters in the game had attributes affecting real life. This should have been his chance to turn things around, but he was already penniless. In the game, he was weak, easily killed by monsters, sinking into constant defeat. Meanwhile, Xiao Tiancai used stolen wealth to dominate both the game and reality, taking everything from him. Despite everything, Shen Qing bought many bombs and hid them throughout the house. He called Xiao Tiancai over, but the man still mocked arrogantly, thinking it was a joke. He sneered, asking if a room full of bombs could really kill him. Shen Qing coldly pressed the detonator, daring him to die with a cripple. The violent explosion completely destroyed the house. Shen Qing's body was crushed, dying among the rubble. He was stunned to see Xiao Tiancai unscathed. The man approached, mocking that someone so weak could never harm him. Bending down to step on his face, he said he would reveal a secret before he died. He confessed to killing his parents, causing his leg loss, and forcing his sister to bear his surname. Knowing the truth, hatred burned within him, but his head was brutally crushed underfoot. Strangely, he revived in the present, determined to protect his sister and avenge his parents. He gently patted his sister's head, assuring her he was fine and threatening to laugh if she cried again. She wiped her tears, promising not to cry anymore. In his heart, he vowed to utterly destroy Xiao Tiancai, but his crippled legs remained a major obstacle to changing fate. Remembering Divine Atlas Across the Sky, he realized the time before the game's secret was exposed was the golden opportunity. At this moment, with his assets still intact, he knew he must act quickly. His sister thought his pale face was from leg pain and was about to call a doctor. He grabbed her hand, telling her to wait because he needed her help with something urgent. She asked in surprise what it was. He solemnly requested she buy a gaming setup for Divine Atlas Across the Sky. The door burst open, and Xiao Tiancai appeared with fake concern, mocking him for wanting to play games. He asked what would happen to the company if he got addicted to gaming. Shen Qing observed him coldly, thinking he had come to spy. He replied that a cripple could do nothing but play games anyway. Pretending to be concerned, Xiao Tiancai said gaming cabins were scarce, only 100 left, and the price had been driven up to 300 million. Shen Qing firmly stated he still had the right to spend company funds, and whether 300 million or 30 billion, he would buy it. Xiaodong panicked and tried to stop him, while Xiao Tiancai pretended to generously offer to buy it for him. Inwardly, he felt smug, thinking taking over the company would be easier if Shen Qing was distracted by games. He told him to enjoy the game, as he and Xiaodong would handle the company. When he tried to touch Xiaodong, Shen Qing pulled her into his arms, coldly saying she would stay to take care of him. In his heart, he burned with anger, vowing never to let him touch his sister. Xiao Tiancai narrowed his eyes, his smile stiffening, and reluctantly agreed. He turned away, slamming the door and grinding his teeth in the hallway. He cursed the incompetent assassin who had failed to kill Shen Qing. He resolved to use a fuel truck next time to ram him to death, then left. In the room, Shen Qing told Xiaodong to transfer all money and stocks into the game. Shocked, she asked if he was sick, but he insisted it was a huge gamble. 3 hours later, Xiao Tianchai spent 500 million to buy him a gaming cabin. He changed clothes and slowly sat inside the cabin, eyes resolute, determined to enter the Divine Atlas. The screen displayed a startup message and asked him to wait. Seconds later, he entered the virtual world, his legs healthy again, the sensation incredibly real. A character naming panel appeared in front of him. Without hesitation, he entered the name "Not Dead Yet." Immediately, light enveloped his entire body. The system prompted him to choose a profession. He realized everything was exactly the same as in his previous life, with 7 familiar classes before him: warrior, mage, ranger, assassin, priest, knight, summoner. He decided to pick his old class again. Ranger. Instantly, his outfit changed to light armor, holding an exquisite bow and sharp arrows. The system confirmed he had successfully chosen Ranger, just as in his past memories. The system voice confirmed that everything matched his previous run. Then it announced a special reward, the Elf Bloodline, increasing favor with the elf race and boosting multiple stats: strength, critical hit, evasion, and movement speed. The system continued with another reward, the Inheritance Grade skill book, Spot Weakness, allowing double damage on weak points, costing mana, with a 120-second cooldown, usable by all classes. Shen Qing nodded, knowing this skill had been mastered in his previous life. The system then reported he was one of the 100 VIPs using a cabin, granting him a special professional chest. A brilliantly glowing chest appeared before him. He froze in shock, as he had never seen this item in his previous life. From his knowledge, this chest contained innate abilities, the game's core element. When he tried to open it, the system demanded 50 million gold coins, 500 million in-game currency. He was stunned by the enormous amount. Taking a deep breath, he told himself that if he didn't invest now, everything would fall into enemy hands. He knew every newbie had a chance to get a random innate ability, and the earlier one entered the game, the higher the chance for a rare type. In his past life, he had an attack attribute with a bleeding effect that helped him win many battles. This time, with a huge sum invested, he wanted not just good, but the very best, and decided to open the chest immediately. A blinding light shot into the sky as the chest opened, making him exclaim in shock. The result was the innate ability Evolve All. He was utterly astonished at the existence of such an ability. This was a rare, top-tier power worth far more than 500 million gold coins. The skill panel showed the passive effect. Plus 100% drop rate for items reduced by 1 tier. 0.5% chance for mid-tier evolution, but reduced drop rate for items lowered by 2 tiers. Evolution could exceed the current max tier. Active effect: 100% of dropped items and skills could be upgraded by 2 tiers, 10% chance to upgrade by 3 tiers, cooldown 24 hours, does not stack with passive, and each item can only evolve once. Shen Qing smiled in satisfaction, closing the attribute panel, thinking this was a heaven-defying power. While others still struggled for bronze or silver gear, he could reach silver, gold, or higher. He affirmed to himself that the money spent was worth it, enough to crush all opponents underfoot. His eyes gleamed as he planned to test his skill on a few monsters, but he remembered the skill had a 24-hour cooldown. He decided the first use had to be on the most valuable target, so he unequipped all gear and skills. With preparations complete, he was ready to begin his journey to change fate. The game scene shifted to a crowded, bustling novice village. He frowned, realizing he was not the first player, and that the place was full of wealthy players. A group of youths rushed to kill chickens for experience, dragging other newbies into monster-stealing chaos. Shaking his head in disdain, He found fighting over a few experience points pitiful. He ignored them and headed deeper, aiming to kill the novice boss before others could. The system warned of a dangerous area, but he ignored it, intent on quickly hunting the boss to level up. However, he stopped short when all he had was the novice bow and ragged armor not worth evolving. If he didn't use Evolve All soon, he would lose his advantage over other players. An idea suddenly struck, and he smiled cunningly, preparing to activate the skill. He chose to directly apply Evolution to his elf bloodline. A faint spirit shadow appeared behind him, gradually changing form and glowing brightly. The system announced a successful evolution into Elf King bloodline, greatly boosting attack speed, critical hit rate, evasion, movement speed, max health, and superior health regeneration. He exclaimed in amazement, not expecting a bloodline to evolve. With his new power, he was confident that clearing novice monsters would be easy. Suddenly, a taunting howl came from the bushes behind him. Shen Qing quickly identified the sound as coming from a level 2 wolf boar. Not far away, a group of players shouted excitedly, thinking the beast would be easy to kill. They believed slaying it would be enough to level up, urging their prey to give up. Hearing the commotion, Shen Qing hid in the bushes, watching the group surround the wolf boar. He noted that they learned teamwork early but had terrible survival skills. He muttered about the wolf boar's pack nature, his lips curling with meaning. Soon after, a fierce wolf pack appeared, overwhelming the players entirely. Cries of pain erupted as they realized the attacks felt far too real. Even the group leader was helpless, and they were all quickly wiped out amid screams. Shen Qing seized the chance, aimed, and killed a level 2 wolf boar with his bow. The monster dropped instantly, and the system announced his Elf King bloodline had been upgraded. He received health, mana, free stat points, and wolf boar meat for healing. Shen Qing collected the loot, valuing this type of food highly. The wolf pack turned its attention to him, eyes glowing red and growls menacing. He smiled, saying the earlier shot was just a damage test, and now he wanted to try another method. Activating the Elf King bloodline, his movement speed doubled. In a flash, he escaped the encirclement, leaving the wolves behind. With agile steps, he crossed a ravine, marveling at the bloodline's all-around power. He felt sure that speed was the key to survival and rapid growth. But he noticed the wolves had stopped chasing, retreating in fear. The system reported he had entered the forest territory. He realized this was level 5 monster territory, forcing the wolves to withdraw. While checking system info, a smiling girl invited him to join a forest monster hunt. The group boasted they were among the first to arrive here when the server opened. A fat man interrupted, not wanting a level 2 player to join, claiming it would waste experience. Shen Qing indifferently refused, telling them to fight on their own as he would leave. Another member mocked him, implying he was afraid of brain damage. He replied coldly that forest monster hunting was too time-consuming and preferred to be alone. The fat man kept provoking, warning the area was dangerous and unexplored. Shen Qing shrugged, saying he had never experienced death and thus felt no fear. The fat man threatened him to hand over all gold and equipment. He stressed that death in the game still brought pain and cost half of one's experience. Shen Qing remained calm, mocked them, and bid farewell. The girl tried to keep him out of concern for his safety, but the fat man dismissed her. He left the group, heading deeper into the novice zone. A human skull lay before him, confirming he was in the right place. He declared he would face the largest boss in the novice zone. From the darkness, a pair of massive, coldly glowing eyes appeared. A massive snake slithered out, its imposing body staring him down. Shen Qing activated his skill to detect the enemy's weak point. The system revealed that the level 10 Python King's weak spot was at the back of its neck. He calculated that with his bloodline, his HP far exceeded the boss's. Summoning his bow, he felt confident with no need to hesitate. The snake lunged fiercely, but he only smirked, mocking its speed. He sidestepped and countered with an arrow. The arrow barely pierced, dealing 29 damage because its scales were too tough. He noted his attack power was still weak, but kept his confidence. He trusted his speed advantage to wear the boss down. Shen Qing skillfully dodged attacks, continually aiming at the enemy's neck. Suddenly, the snake used its tail and scales to shield its weak point. He cursed under his breath upon realizing the enemy knew how to defend itself. His eyes lit with resolve, determined to use his Elf King bloodline's speed to outpace the tail's reaction. 2 consecutive arrows were deflected, causing no damage. On the 3rd shot, he timed it perfectly, striking the neck for 58 damage. Shen Qing smirked proudly, affirming his speed was still superior. At that moment, the Python King spewed a thick cloud. He covered his nose, realizing it was poison gas, losing 10 HP per second per system notice. He calculated he'd die in just over 2 minutes if left unchecked. The snake climbed onto a rock, keeping its distance to let the toxin finish him. Shen Qing laughed coldly, admitting he had underestimated the enemy. He raised his bow and fired another 3rd shot. Thanks to his bloodline skill, this shot triggered a critical hit, dealing 176 damage. He advanced with killing intent, declaring the enemy couldn't last. A series of critical strikes landed directly on its weak point. With the boss's HP down to 597, he was confident he could kill it in 2 minutes. The Python King whipped its tail wildly, attacking all over the battlefield. He realized the enemy was trying to suppress him to prevent counterattacks. Shen Qing twisted in mid-air, still locking onto his target and firing back. The arrow hit the snake's soft belly, dealing 200 damage and leaving it with 370 HP. He wondered why the damage was higher, guessing the belly was less protected than the neck. Feeling victory approach, he increased his attack pace. Suddenly, the boss slammed its tail into the rock wall behind him. A cracking sound rang out as fissures began to spread. He briefly doubted himself upon seeing the snake's mocking eyes. The cracks spread toward him, causing the ground to collapse into a deep pit. He realized it was using force to break the terrain and trap him. Thick poison gas flooded in, stacking poison damage to 20 HP per second, threatening his life even with doubled HP. He admitted this was the deadliest boss in the novice zone. Shen Qing pulled out high-grade wolf boar meat, gaining healing and speed boost for 20 seconds. Even without poison resistance, he resolved to use those 20 seconds to decide the battle. He activated maximum speed, clinging to the cliff to climb out of the pit. Leaping up, he raised his bow and shouted a challenge at the enemy. His arrow flew straight into the Python King's eye. The boss snake writhed in pain, collapsed, and tried to flee. He immediately fired again, shattering part of its scales. The snake growled, unleashing its rage. Behind him, the bloodline phantom of the Elf King appeared majestically. Shen Qing shot a fatal arrow through its neck, ending the boss. The system announced the poison was gone, congratulated him for being the first to kill the boss and enter the server honor board, asking if he wanted to hide his ID. He calmly ignored the anonymity option. A special notice declared Chaozi Wangge as the first to kill the boss Python King. Players nearby were stunned, whispering noisily. Some complained. Others were shocked that a low-level player soloed the boss. 3 players who had just cleared forest mobs discussed the first boss reward. They assumed it must be extremely valuable gear. The fat man glanced at the girl, expecting praise from her. The server-wide announcement of Chaozi Wangge's victory left them frozen. The fat man angrily wondered who it was. The system congratulated Shen Qing with 1.5x experience, instantly raising him to level 7. He noted the reward matched the risk. He unhesitatingly invested all 30 stat points into agility. His current stats were Attack 65, Strength 6, Agility 39, Spirit 5, Defense 8, HP 1860, Mana 50, Crit 80%, Dodge 15%, Attack Speed 1.5, Movement Speed 18, Luck and Will both 0. He was satisfied that for the Wanderer class, agility boosted everything, while his HP rivaled a warrior's. After adjusting stats, he checked his loot. A brilliant golden light suddenly flared before him. The system announced a passive evolution, raising the item's value from 10 silver coins to 10 gold coins. Stunned, then laughing, He realized the sum could make him a rich man among newbies who only earned 1 silver coin. The light in his hand flashed golden again. His heart raced, suspecting a second evolution, eagerly awaiting the result. The coin upgraded into a crystal coin, a rare currency removed from normal loot tables. He lifted the gem in his hand, eyes filled with surprise. He had heard of it but never seen it in his previous life, believing it would be useful later. According to its description, the crystal coin could buy special items from NPCs and greatly boost their favorability. He stored it carefully, then opened his inventory to check the boss drops. First was the Silver Snake one-handed sword, plus 28 attack, plus 7 strength, plus 5 agility, assassin warrior class, level 8 requirement, with Snake's Kiss poison skill. He regretted not using swords, but thought selling it would bring a good price. The next item made his eyes light up with excitement. The Silver Scaled Armor, plus 25 defense, plus 200 HP, plus 10 constitution, level 10 requirement, with Scale Shield granting a 300 HP shield at battle start. He recalled the normal version only boosted basic stats, lacking this special skill. However, he wondered why a low-level boss dropped a level 10 item. Then he remembered he still had an unopened silver treasure chest. He decided to open it immediately, hoping it wouldn't be junk. In a flash of light, a skill book appeared. 7-star Linked Pearls Arrow. This skill costs 50 mana, fires 7 arrows each, dealing true damage equal to 1% max HP, cooldown 60s, requires level 10. Shen Qing was so excited he cursed, calling it a unique technique for both offense and defense. However, he quickly frowned, realizing he must wait until level 10 to use it. After careful thought, he resolved to reach level 10 quickly for a power boost. Suddenly, a faint cry for help echoed from deep in the cave. Shen Qing frowned slightly and silently approached to observe. A beautiful woman in tight clothing begged for help, explaining she hid here while fleeing a giant snake. System info appeared, and he recognized her as a Hidden Quest NPC, coldly telling her the snake was dead and she could leave. She coquettishly said her leg was hurt and asked him to carry her. His face flushed involuntarily at her seductive posture. Though embarrassed, he carried her out of the cave. She smiled in thanks, promising to reward him generously next time they met. He grew suspicious, asking why she said next time. He immediately let go, dropping her to the ground. She feigned pain, claiming she could only repay him with her body. She deliberately teased, asking if he wanted that. He grew angry and refused outright. She laughed, praising his sharpness, then drew the signature dagger of an assassin. Shen Qing knocked the weapon away. He threatened her, demanding the hidden class. She feigned ignorance. He spoke coldly, mentioning her 14-year-old daughter nearby. He added that he would go find the girl. His words frightened her, and she asked how he knew. She reluctantly agreed to guide him to the hidden class. He replied coldly that if she had done it earlier, things would be over by now. She began to dance, her movements soft and skilled. A magic circle glowed under his feet, signaling the activation of the hidden class. She explained it was a trial, and passing it would grant the hidden class. He eagerly thanked her, but she instantly changed expression, warning him not to celebrate yet. Suddenly, a notification appeared beside him. Shen Qing glanced at it, his face darkening when he saw it was a nightmare difficulty Shadowhunter trial. Failure meant losing the chance forever. He muttered in shock that he was only level 7, yet faced this difficulty, while a magic seal bound his legs so he couldn't move. The madam sneered, declaring this his punishment for threatening her daughter, with favorability dropping to 0. He suddenly realized the proper way to unlock the hidden class might be raising her favorability. The teleportation gate lit up, and he roared a warning that he would find her daughter after passing the trial. She smiled provocatively, saying the outcome depended on his ability. In an instant, he was sucked into the formation and fell into a dusty land. He brushed himself off, wondering why he had been sent here. The system announced the start of the nightmare difficulty Dark Hunter trial, where death meant permanent disqualification. He frowned, realizing only 2 paths remained: clear the trial or die. The ground shook as a creature emerged with a terrifying roar. He leapt back in alarm, recognizing the trial enemy. Numerous tentacles emerged, surrounding him on all sides. Activating his observation skill, he saw the elite level 5 desert sandworm with 2,000 HP weak point in the middle tentacle. He drew his bow, deciding to shoot at the thick flesh. The arrow hit the weak spot, dealing 130 damage. He smirked, thinking if it surfaced fully, a shot into its mouth could end it quickly. The monster charged, lashing its tentacles fiercely. He sneered, considering that move reckless. He sidestepped the strike, but the impact scattered rocks, lightly injuring him and revealing its terrifying strength. He got up, scanning around, but the monster had vanished. He frowned, annoyed that it kept hiding under the sand. He muttered that each appearance gave less than a second to react, making it hard to dodge completely. He spotted a stone tower nearby, thinking he could stand firm there to reduce danger. Without hesitation, he rushed up, risking an attack and betting on luck. Fortunately, he chose the right direction, reaching the stone pillar safely, telling himself he had struck gold this time. When the monster dove, the temporary effect ended, and he realized its attack patterns were too simple. Waiting patiently, the sand trembled, its mouth opening. He grinned darkly, leaping up and calling it stubborn. It spat sand, but he was used to the move and dodged easily by stepping on the rocks. At the same time, he shot into its mouth, dealing 260 damage. He mocked it, declaring that with only 2 moves, he would end it. Jumping high, he aimed straight at its mouth to finish it. The Baywood arrow dealt 130 damage, killing the monster. The system announced he reached level 8, earning money and the sandworm flower item that boosts movement in sand. He frowned, complaining the reward was too little for such a huge monster. Suddenly, the stone stele before him lit up, and he was amazed by the glowing characters. There were 8 identical characters, but only the last one shone. Before he could think, 7 more monsters surfaced at once. He gritted his teeth, guessing he had to kill them all to pass. This place was like a prison. Looking around, he calculated that standing too long on the ground would get him surrounded. Thinking of luring them out one by one, he ruled out using strong shock waves from his bow. An idea struck. He took 10 silver coins from his chest. He tossed them onto the sand to create a small vibration, calling it throwing money to bait bugs. Immediately, our one monster emerged. He shot into its mouth but only dealt 35 damage. Seeing the shooting angle was bad, he decided to compensate with his plentiful money. He persisted in luring each monster out with coins and killing them. After 4 hours, he sighed in relief as 7 corpses lay scattered. The system announced he reached level 10, gained 15 attribute points, 80 silver coins, and a big boost to HP and mana. He laughed, surprised to have reached level 10 with extra unused points. After thinking, he decided to put them all into luck. His luck rose to 15, also increasing crit and dodge rates, surprising him. At that moment, his passive evolution skill activated. An elite monster radiated brilliant light. A purple beam shot straight into the sky. He was shocked, guessing it might be a legendary item, recalling he had missed it in his previous life due to wrong stat investment. He quickly rushed to the glowing spot. The system displayed legendary skill, Sand Escape, allowing movement and hiding in sand, but limited to deserts. He frowned, dismissing it as mediocre since it was similar to sandworms. But then he realized it could be useful for survival or ambushes, so he decided to learn it. The system deducted 10 silver coins to learn Sand Escape. Reaching level 10, he also learned 7-star Linked Pearls arrow from the silver chest, costing 20 silver coins, then equipped the silver scale armor, feeling his power soar and confident he was now a server top expert. However, he noticed all the tower's characters were lit, the monsters gone, yet the surroundings remained silent. Suddenly, the ground shook violently like an earthquake. The rock before him transformed into a gate, revealing stairs leading deep down. He smirked, guessing the real reward was below, and decided to check. At that moment, A clear female voice from above called him to eat pork and egg porridge. He looked up at the game cabin, alarmed, telling her not to climb in or she might fall. The system asked if he wanted to quit the game because someone was calling him, but he instantly refused to keep his chance for the hidden class. He shouted for his younger sister to be quiet, but Xiaodong pouted, reminding him he had been playing for 8 hours straight and needed rest. Shenqing snapped irritably, telling her not to disturb him again. Xiaodong left the porridge bowl in frustration, feeling sad and wondering how to make her brother happy again. In the cabin, he sighed, softly apologizing to her, promising to wait until he was stronger. He activated Sand Escape, softly calling for the Phantom Hunter to lead the way. Entering the gate, he was transported to a strange space. The system warned it was an extremely dangerous area, making him suspect the main boss was here. From beneath the sand, enormous legs slowly emerged. He froze upon seeing it was a crab in the middle of the desert. The system displayed Sandland King level 15 gold boss, 6,000 HP, 80 defense, with a sandstorm skill. He gritted his teeth, thinking its HP and defense were absurd. Activating observation revealed no weak point. A giant leg suddenly slammed down. He dodged just in time but was still thrown back by the shockwave, losing 100 HP, shocked that even the aftershock dealt damage. Thanks to the silver scale armor absorbing 300 damage, he survived, but it still felt like being hit by a truck. Seeing the deep crater from the strike, he understood that dodging stomps alone wouldn't be enough to survive. He tried shooting an arrow, but dealt only 1 damage. He was stunned, realizing the boss's defense negated almost all damage. He kept dodging while running, reminding himself to rely on speed or risk being knocked down by aftershocks again. Suddenly, out a massive claw came at him too fast to evade. The strike made the whole desert quake, but when the claw lifted, he had vanished. In truth, he was clinging tightly to the claw, heart pounding from his narrow escape. The Sandland King sensed him, roared, and shook violently, making him leap off while cursing it as stupid. He activated 7-star linked Pearl's arrow, firing 7 consecutive shots into the boss's body. As a result, the boss lost 61 HP and took an extra critical hit for 122 HP. Landing on the ground, he smirked, praising the skill's true damage of 1% max HP per arrow. But he quickly frowned, realizing he still couldn't pierce the armor. The boss had over 5,000 HP left and was getting harder to fight. The Sandland King kept furiously slamming its giant legs into the sand. Its reckless attacks shattered the 300-point silver armor shield, rendering it useless and making Shenqing even more frustrated. He used his speed to leap onto the boss's head and reactivated 7-star linked Pearl's arrow. But this time, no arrows were fired. Checking his status, he shouted in frustration at having completely run out of mana. The skill was powerful but cost 50 mana, exceeding his current limit. With recovery at only 5 per minute, he needed 10 minutes before using it again. Suddenly, the Sandland King leapt, blocking out the light and creating a dust storm. Shenqing gritted his teeth, suspecting it wanted to force him to the arena's limit. Without hesitation, he jumped down, mocking that it would need to be 10 times faster to trap him. A glowing vortex appeared beneath the boss's belly. The system identified the belly as its weak point. He was shocked to only now discover the weak spot, realizing it had been hidden underneath. He smirked sarcastically, saying the boss was kind enough to reveal it. But before he could enjoy the moment, something strange happened. The system announced the boss had activated a deadly skill dealing 100 damage per second, with blindness and slow effects for 60 seconds. Before Shenqing could react, 2 whirlwinds rushed at him. He cursed angrily at the brutal skill, the wind pressure making movement impossible. Unable to dodge, enduring the full duration would deal 6,000 damage and kill him. His HP dropped by 100 per second. He roared in rage, knowing being caught meant death or severe injury. Gritting his teeth, he shot an arrow at the weak point, stacking up to 260 damage. The boss roared furiously, its belly vibrating to create more whirlwinds draining his HP. Shenqing shouted defiantly, promising to strike back in a minute. Suddenly, the surroundings fell silent as if he had vanished. From the sand, a shadowy figure moved. He sprang up, shooting an arrow into the weak point for 130 damage, taunting the boss. The boss unleashed another sandstorm, but he smirked, already having a counter. He used Sand Escape, diving into the sand with a 10% speed boost, exceeding expectations. In an instant, he shifted positions, kept firing, and avoided damage, regaining the upper hand. Shen Qing's repeated strikes on the weak point forced the Sandland King to dive under the sand to shield itself. But from a higher position, he used Sand Escape to move skillfully without consuming mana or cooldown. Realizing this was a legendary skill, he attacked from above while constantly repositioning. Though each scattered shot was weak, they let him maintain full HP. The Sandland King roared in frustration, surprising Shen Qing when it spoke. After 3 hours of battle, his HP was down to 1/3, while the boss was nearly exhausted. With mana fully restored, he prepared to unleash his strongest skill. He stepped closer, taunting the boss that if it didn't act, he would strike first. With only 1/5 HP left, it rasped a plea for a quick death to end its suffering. Shen Qing chuckled bitterly, blaming its overly tough armor. He activated 7-star Linked Pearl's arrow, 7 shots piercing its belly and killing the boss. The system congratulated him for the kill, awarding 1.5x over-level experience, instantly raising him 3 levels. He thought he must now be server top. The system further announced the hidden class was unlocked and asked if he wanted to change. He happily confirmed, as this had been his long-pursued goal. The Elf King bloodline within him stirred, and his form began to change. The system changes his class to Ghost Hunter, greatly boosting stats and raising attribute points per level to 7. He laughs loudly for gaining 2 more points per level than normal players. The system shows the first skill, Ghost Summon, calling a spirit to fight for 30 seconds with 40% attack power and master's effects. The second skill, Death Trap, setting a snare to hold the target for 5 seconds, doubling damage taken, ineffective on bosses. Shen Qing comments, "This is a burst damage combo able to kill swiftly." He's curious about the ghost's evolution, but must wait 5 hours to activate. Suddenly, a passive evolution on his hand triggers, light shining from the boss's corpse, showing the luck boost worked. He smiles as the system reports gaining 32 silver coins converted to 32 gold coins, plus 2 crystal gems, totaling 43 gold, 20 silver, and 8 crystal gems. Shen Qing checks the dropped loot and stores it all in his chest. The first item is a silver tier armor-piercing bow, plus 50 attack, plus 10 agility, reduces enemy defense by 5 per hit. He's glad to have a weapon for high defense monsters. The second is a silver tier refined steel bracer, plus 12 attack, plus 7 agility, enabling faster arrow shots. He equips it immediately. The third is a silver tier golden greatsword for level 12 warriors, plus 10 strength, with sword aura skill adding 30% damage. He regrets not being able to use it, thinking of selling but also keeping it as a gift. The fourth is a silver tier life blessing, plus 10 defense, regenerates 10 HP per second out of combat. He wears it right away. Fully equipped, he still lacks 3 talismans to complete the set, then invests 21 attribute points into agility. New stats: HP 2920, attack 180, agility 82, strength 11, spirit 10, mana 280, defense 33, luck 20, charm 8, accuracy 85%, dodge 20%, attack speed 2.0, movement speed 24. The system suddenly reports he has played for 15 hours and will force a logout. Shen Qing panics, protesting because he wants to continue, but he is forcibly removed from the game. Returning to reality, removing his VR headset, he laments that even as an adult he's still subject to anti-addiction rules. Even so, he remains determined to soon take revenge on Mo Xiaotian and the betrayers. After searching a bit, he finds Xiaodong asleep in his hospital room and smiles. He notices the porridge she brought, fragrant and beautifully presented. Thinking of how she was once pampered, yet now suffers to care for him, he feels pity and vows to give her happiness after revenge. He tastes the porridge and instantly feels an indescribable sensation. His mouth twitches at the strange flavor like salt mixed with honey, nearly thinking he's been poisoned. The sound wakes Xiaodong, who rubs her eyes and jokes that he finally stopped gaming. Shen Qing keeps the porridge in his mouth, not spitting it out, and apologizes for waking her. She smiles brightly and asks how the porridge is. He reluctantly swallows and praises it highly. Xiaodong eagerly urges him to eat quickly, saying he looks very hungry. Seeing her innocent smile, Shen Qing cannot bring himself to tell the truth. Every time he looks at the porridge like poison, he can only swallow it with tears, feeling conflicted. The next morning, his health declines noticeably. A female doctor comes to check on him. She reminds him that yesterday he vomited and had diarrhea, frightening the young lady. Inwardly, she judges him handsome and well-built, believing being with him would mean wealth. He frowns and says it was just fatigue from gaming yesterday. She gently tells him to call if he needs anything. He smiles and asks her to get a wheelchair to take him to the game pod to continue playing. She's surprised, thinking the game must be extremely important to him. Later, while wheeling him to the pod, she still wonders if there's something wrong with her makeup. Logging back into the game, he hears the system's welcome and sees 300,000 players online. He realizes that besides pods, many are playing through cheap devices. In just 1 month, the game has surpassed 100 million players. He clenches his fist, determined to level up faster, checks his chest, and aims to hunt strong gear for level 20 bosses. Then, he enters a grocery store in-game. The shopkeeper, seeing his silver armor, happily greets him. Noticing only bronze items, he thinks the good stuff must be hidden. He directly states he wants to buy the shop's treasure item. The shopkeeper is surprised, doubting he can afford it. Shen Qing takes out a radiant crystal gem. The shopkeeper's eyes light up, his favor toward him increasing greatly. He opens a secret door leading to another display area. He says this section hasn't officially opened but will let him choose first. After looking around, he dismisses most items as trash, shocking the shopkeeper. Suddenly, he notices a golden mask of gold tier. He points to it, and the shopkeeper praises his sharp eye, revealing the original price is 200,000, but lowered to 150,000 because of the gem. The system asks if he wants to trade for 200,000 gold coins. Shen Qing immediately agrees and transfers the money. The shopkeeper, seeing full payment of 200,000, stammers in disbelief. He says no discount is needed, only asking to be informed first when good items arrive. The shopkeeper agrees because of the huge sum. He immediately wears the golden white tiger mask, believing it worth the price for its uniqueness. He disables display mode so the mask looks like a thin face covering with toggleable visibility. The system shows the mask grants plus 115 speed, plus 15 strength, and a skill to stun and slow a wide area of lower-level players. He's pleased with this high-tier gold. Nearby players begin discussing the strange mask. Some suspect cheating, since no shop sells gold tier yet. A big man approaches, pats his shoulder, and tells him to wait. He coldly asks why. The man smirks, saying he wants to borrow his gear to try. He disables mask display, revealing his normal face, and asks why he should lend it. The man sneers, accusing him of cheating and advising him to hand over the gear to avoid a ban. He laughs, realizing the man is trying to rob him. A crowd gathers after hearing claims he's a cheater. The man's gang joins in, admitting they're robbing him. One agitates the crowd, calling for punishment of this cheater. The leader threatens that if he doesn't hand over the gear, they'll keep killing him at respawn. He sneers, thinking that fools and petty men exist everywhere. Checking that they're only level 4 or 5, he feels bored by the nuisance. He points at 3 of them, daring them to attack together. An archer jumps forward, threatening to shoot his head for being arrogant. He activates the tiger skill from the mask, releasing an oppressive aura that shakes the area. The 3 instantly collapse, as if their insides were crushed, coughing blood. He coldly declares that any attack will be met with retaliation. then introduces his ID Choi Tu Van Ka and invites them to come find him. The crowd murmurs upon hearing the name Choi Tu Van Ka, the leaderboard's top player. The rankings show: first Choi Tu Van Ka, level 13 Ghost Hunter; second Shang Tianba Shui, level 8 Warrior; third Diyu Huobao Hua, level 8 Mage. Everyone is shocked to realize the #1 genius is right before them. The archer pales, cursing under his breath upon learning he's the best player. Shen Qing ignores it and walks into a small house in the forest. Before hunting monsters, he wants to settle another matter. From above, he spots a little girl and confirms he has found her. He calls out loudly, asking if she knows the lady. The girl, annoyed, retorts at being called Little Miss and says he's not much older. Shen Qing silently notes her lack of manners. He directly asks if she's the lady's daughter, Lin Ni, startling her into questioning him. Shen Qing slyly claims her mother promised to marry her to him next year. She blushes, flustered, unable to respond. Then she bursts into tears and runs to her mother for help, nearly making him laugh. Hearing her, the lady appears, worriedly asking her daughter what happened. Lin Ni tearfully asks if her mother really plans to marry her off. The lady is still confused when Shen Qing approaches, greeting her and shocking her for having passed the difficult trial. He affirms he promised to find her daughter as soon as he finished, and always keeps his word. The lady sternly warns that if he does anything improper, she will move away. Shen Qing feigns surprise at her saying she'd relocate. He inwardly laughs at having scared her, then gently asks for a mid-tier dungeon map. The lady refuses, saying she doesn't have that map. Shen Qing puts on pressure, intending to show his strength to make her admit it. Frightened, the lady pulls her daughter back as if bracing for a strike, but he just smiles and takes out a sparkling gem. He says it's a thank you gift for opening the hidden class trial for him. The system reports the mother and daughter's favorability increased by 50 points. The lady's eyes light up at the gem, surprised he's really giving it to her. Lin Ni quickly snatches it, happily praising its beauty and thanking him. The lady pulls her back, telling her to return it, but the girl clings tightly. Lin Ni looks at Shen Qing expectantly, asking if the marriage next year is real and if the gem is a token of engagement. Shen Qing thinks she's too naive, then smiles and confirms it on the condition her mother gives him a high-tier dungeon map. The lady refuses, saying the rules only allow getting a mid-tier map after 20 days of server opening, but reveals the village chief has the authority. Lin Ni eagerly boasts she knows where the village chief lives and wants to guide him there. Scene shifts to a small house where the female village chief is lying under the sun relaxing. She mutters about enjoying it, believing lying long increases blessings and dismissing health concerns. Suddenly, Yai Shenxing appears and approaches. Lin Ni innocently jumps on the chief, making her cough violently, then asks who's looking for her. Shen Qing sits nearby, saying he needs a mid-tier map to leave the village. Lin Ni immediately points him out as the seeker. The chief advises him not to rush and to return at level 20. Shen Qing coldly places a crystal gem on the table. The chief looks at the gem, smiles, and claims she is upright and fair, but she quickly slips the gem into her private pocket. Lin Ni frowns, retrieves the gem, and returns it to Shen Qing, urging the chief to keep her word about fairness. Shen Qing thinks the girl isn't as bad as rumors say, then firmly demands the map. The chief refuses, saying he's still weak and a mid-tier dungeon is too dangerous for level 13. Shen Qing asks what if he proves his strength. The chief is surprised but agrees to give him a task. She says if he completes it, she will give the map. Shen Qing accepts immediately. She explains the village is attacked by wolves every year, with none able to wipe them out. The cause is the White Wolf King leading the pack, which must be killed and its head brought back. The system issues a side quest to slay the White Wolf King, rewarding a mid-tier map, title, silver pants, and money. Shen Qing agrees to take the quest. He gets up, telling her to have the map ready when he returns. Lin Ni excitedly asks to join, saying she will be protected. Shen Qing frowns, telling her to return to her mother and not cause trouble. Lin Ni stubbornly insists on going to protect the village and kill the White Wolf. Unable to persuade her, Shen Qing asks the chief to intervene, but Lin Ni still shouts to follow. The system suddenly adds a condition to keep Lin Ni safe during the quest. Shen Qing panics, muttering a curse. Lin Ni takes the chance to climb onto his shoulders, holding tight, reminding him about marriage. Shen Qing is surprised and tells her not to climb like a monkey. She cries, saying she doesn't want him risking himself alone. He reluctantly agrees to take her, making her cheer. In the dark forest, Shen Qing follows the quest location, while Lin Ni shivers at the eerie scene. A distant scream rings out. Shen Qing realizes someone is there and plans to ask for directions. They meet a group of level 5 to 7 players fighting monsters. He asks the way to the wolf den. One arrogantly questions him, declaring the area theirs and forbidding others to level here. Shen Qing asks what claiming means. The man boasts he's from Qingxi Bang, demanding a membership fee to train here, otherwise go back to the newbie village. He glances at Lin Ni, guessing she's a quest NPC, and says it's unrelated. Shen Qing mocks their grinding method as highly inefficient. The man angrily argues that forest wolves are weak but safe. Lin Ni suddenly trembles, warning an enemy is coming. Shen Qing turns to see a giant red-eyed wolf approaching their group. Without hesitation, he grabs Lin Ni and leaps onto a tall tree. The group below jeers, thinking he's fleeing. Shen Qing thinks they're fools for not sensing the killing intent, while Lin Ni sweats in fear. The group of players turns to see the wolf open its mouth to attack. A female member is swallowed instantly. Only her legs drop to the ground, shocking everyone. The remaining players panic and flee. Black mist seeps from the wolf's mouth before its body fades into an illusion. One man trembles, pointing and stammering that it vanished. Immediately after, the White Wolf King appears behind them, swinging black glinting claws through the air. From above, Shen Qing observes its stats: level 20, HP 4000, speed 40, attack 300, defense 50, dodge 37%, weaknesses at belly and eyes, skills unknown. He senses something unusual. Suspecting speed 40 alone can't explain its sudden disappearance, and decides to test further. Lin Ni grabs his hand, worriedly stopping him. She says the wolf saw him but still attacked others, so they should follow it instead. Shen Qing plans to carry her down, but Lin Ni warns that drawing aggro now means certain death, and they must prepare. He agrees, thinking high favorability NPC advice is usually accurate. Lin Ni then produces a sheet of paper. She proudly says it's an auto-navigation map. Shen Qing is shocked, scolding her for not giving it earlier. Lin Ni teases that he didn't let her come along at first. Just then, the system announces active evolution is available. Shen Qing is thrilled to find a way to get stronger. Lin Ni marvels at his glowing arm. He says it's a good thing, and prepares to use active evolution on his spirit bloodline. But the system reports he can't evolve further as it's at max. Shen Qing awkwardly says he was just testing, not breaking rules. He decides to evolve the skill Phantom Fierce Hand to check it. He summons a ghostly clone identical to himself. Lin Ni is amazed and praises it, while Shen Qing is pleased and wants to test its power. He orders the clone to use 7-star chain arrow. The copy instantly gathers 7 glowing arrows like him. Shen Qing quickly tells it to stop, no need to fire for real. He laughs, admiring that the hidden class lets clones use base skills. An idea strikes. What if the clone can also evolve skills? He orders the clone to use active evolution. The ghost shines brilliantly all over. The system reports the clone has evolved to Tier 2, number increased to 2, attack inheritance at 60%, duration 60 seconds. Shen Qing is excited, not expecting clones to evolve too. Lin Ni stares wide-eyed, asking if he's hacking. He denies it, joking that hacks aren't as strong as him. She asks his win rate now. Shen Qing confidently says it's at 20%. Lin Ni nods, wanting to raise it more. Shen Qing immediately evolves 7-star chain arrow. The system reports the skill has become 7-star Blazing Arrow. Fires 7 flaming arrows dealing damage plus 1% max HP, adds burn for 50 damage per second for 7 seconds, cooldown reduced to 40 seconds, mana cost reduced to 30. Shen Qing scratches his head, lamenting that he thought it would become 8-star Blazing Arrow. Lin Ni happily says it's already strong, raising win rate to 34%. The system suddenly announces the ghost has completed evolution, surprising Shen Qing at the speed. He immediately summons the ghost and orders it to use active evolution, but the system reported it was on cooldown, so it couldn't execute. He guessed the phantom shared attributes and cooldown with the main body, so if he used a skill, they would also have to wait, deciding to upgrade both next time. Shen Qing told Lin Ni to come along to find a way to raise the win rate. When she asked where, he said to just follow him. At a stream, one of his arrows took down a predatory beast. He stood on a tree cheering upon receiving premium crocodile meat with HP, mana recovery, and stat boosts. Lin Ni clapped in praise. Shen Qing was still unsatisfied and summoned 2 phantom clones. He reassured Lin Ni they would soon have enough food. An hour later, Lin Ni was full and her favorability increased by 30 points. Shen Qing was proud of the evolved fish dish. He checked the inventory, seeing 41 premium carp meat and 117 premium crocodile meat with similar effects. He was pleased with the Phantom's high efficiency, confident he could handle the White Wolf King, and asked for the win rate. Lin Ni estimated around 40%. Hearing that, Shen Qing decided to set out to kill the White Wolf King. Lin Ni ran after him, telling him to wait. Neither of them noticed a team secretly tailing them. According to Lin Ni's map, they stopped before a cave. He thanked her for leading the way. He summoned 2 phantoms and activated the Death Entrapment skill. Each phantom lasted 60 seconds, and the trap had a 30-second cooldown, allowing 4 traps per round, looping continuously into a dense network. Quickly, he set dozens of traps sealing the White Wolf King's exit. Lin Ni was astonished at the scale, but saw the win rate still hadn't increased. Shen Qing believed the White Wolf King's high speed would be countered. Then ate premium crocodile meat to restore mana and boost stats. Lin Ni still felt uneasy since the win rate hadn't reached 50%. He gestured for her to stay put. He told her to hide behind a tree, with traps protecting her and to never come out. She agreed upon seeing the hidden traps. Shen Qing shouted into the cave, calling the White Wolf King out. Inside the cave, red eyes flashed, and the beast immediately charged out with killing intent. Shen Qing gave a cold smile, sure the enemy would step into the trap. But the White Wolf King sensed danger and retreated deeper inside. He was surprised when it turned back, staying highly alert. He loudly mocked and called the Wolf King a coward. Lin Ni whispered, wanting to see if he had the skill to deserve her hand. Suddenly, someone covered Lin Ni's mouth from behind. The system reported the death trap had triggered, surprising Shen Qing. But clearly the White Wolf King hadn't entered the trap. He turned to scold Lin Ni, but instead saw a group restraining Lin Ni, the girl struggling and shouting to be released. Shen Qing stepped forward, ordering them to let her go. Lin Ni shouted she was underage, threatening to call her husband to deal with the kidnappers. The leader laughed and asked her real age. Shen Qing worried she would point directly at him. As expected, Lin Ni called him her husband and pleaded for help, making him panic. The leader mocked him for not even sparing children. He asked if Shen Qing knew whose territory this was. Shen Qing replied clearly that it was the Qing Shi gang. The man grew angry that he dared to level up here. He said his people had been attacked here before and suspected him. Shen Qing denied it, telling him to ask again when they revived. The man doubted he was strong enough to kill many people and questioned his reason for being here. He calmly said he was just wandering around. The man asserted there was a hidden boss here, and all benefits belonged to them. Shen Qing inwardly cursed, wondering where this gang came from. He proposed exchanging Lin Ni for the boss in the cave, planning to use them against the White Wolf King first. One of them laughed and asked if he knew who he was bargaining with. A woman introduced him as the 3rd young master of Yang City, son of a tycoon, top 27 on the Heaven ranking. Shen Qing sneered inwardly, thinking this third young master was just a corporate heir, while his own group held nearly half their shares. Even so, he stayed calm and asked their intention. The other side ordered him to hand over all assets as punishment for breaking the rules. Shen Qing's eyes turned cold, unwilling to cause trouble but now pushed to his limit, ready to fight. Suddenly, a ferocious roar of the White Wolf King echoed from the cave. The group became excited, confirming the cave indeed had a boss, angering Shen Qing. The third young master shouted to lead Qingxi Gang to dominance, and they all charged in. The subordinates recklessly rushed into the cave without thinking. One of them threw Lin Ni toward Shen Qing, saying they'd deal with him later. He caught the girl, secretly mocking their stupidity. They had made no preparations or scouting beforehand. They carelessly stepped on Shen Qing's death traps. The system reported activation, and he only gave a cold smile. The traps immediately bound the entire Qingxi Gang, making them curse in fear. The White Wolf King emerged, its massive body radiating heavy killing intent. The third young master stammered, asking what it was. Someone checked the info and reported in panic it was a level 20 boss. But the third young master reassured his men. He told himself he had spent money on a hidden talent and giant form skill, so he couldn't lose face. His body instantly grew huge, tearing his armor apart, transforming into a giant as tall as the White Wolf King. The system described the skill as greatly boosting attack and defense but reducing speed, lasting half a minute. Lin Ni was amazed at the ability. She turned to ask Shen Qing if he planned to abandon the quest. He replied to let the other side struggle for a bit. The subordinates cheered and praised the third young master as a hero. He was confident his talent was overwhelming unless he was instantly killed. But as soon as he thought that, the White Wolf King's claw nearly drained all his HP in an instant and flung him far away. The whole group was shocked, calling out for their boss. Instead of helping, they all turned and fled in panic. The White Wolf King roared, summoning a pack of level 2 wolves to pursue. Someone shouted in fear to run faster. Another suggested going back to save the leader but was called crazy since the wolves were too many and the third young master was already down. One man glanced back at the third young master beside the White Wolf King and muttered an apology. Shen Qing leisurely walked into the cave, shocking others who thought he was seeking death. He mocked the White Wolf King for knowing how to use his traps to deal with enemies and kill wolf pups. Then he declared the next battle was between the two of them. The third young master thought Shen Qing was crazy and decided to play dead. The White Wolf King's eyes glowed red, killing intent surging. The weaker wolves obeyed orders and charged at him. He scoffed, comparing himself to a tiger facing a wolf pack. Wearing a white tiger mask, he transformed into a giant tiger shadow, sweeping away the rushing wolves. The White Wolf King paused briefly, then unleashed ultra-fast claw wind. He was startled by the reckless strike. His protective shield broke, and his HP dropped sharply. Lin Ni shouted loudly from afar. The White Wolf King smiled triumphantly. Shen Qing replied he had taken the hit on purpose to lock the enemy in place. Two phantoms appeared, ready to attack. Knocked back, he temporarily escaped the opponent. A series of trap explosions rang out. He was delighted, saying he had used the phantoms to set traps for an encirclement. The enemy's HP dropped by nearly 1/3. He ate premium crocodile meat to heal, challenging to see who would tire first. The beast vanished at terrifying speed. He guessed it was using stealth skill. In a flash, it ambushed from behind, taking 400 HP. He remembered this was the same move it had used on the others. While still airborne, he saw it vanish again. The next two strikes each took 200 HP, leaving him at half health. He grew angry, accusing it of relentless attacks not giving him time to recover. It circled around again for another surprise attack. But just as it swung its claw, it was trapped in place. He laughed, saying stealth only worked in melee, while traps always waited underfoot. He drew the 7-star bow, declaring it was his turn. A blazing arrow dealt 196 damage, leaving the enemy with just over 2,300 HP. The White Wolf King broke the trap and unleashed a claw wind, dealing 800 damage. He said he knew the trap wouldn't hold, so he deliberately took the hit to keep it in place. Snapping his fingers, two phantoms appeared from above and simultaneously set traps. The traps exploded, binding the boss, and all three fired blazing 7-star arrows together. He unleashed a barrage of 21 fire arrows, the fiery glow engulfing everything. Lin Ni asked if they would go hunt wolves next. He pointed toward the boss's pack. Suddenly, a loud explosion sounded, forming a mushroom cloud. Lin Ni widened her eyes, thinking it was an in-game nuclear bomb. She jumped for joy, believing Shen Qing had won. He ate crocodile meat, regretting that only 9 arrows hit. If all had landed, the boss would have been killed instantly. Lin Ni urged him to finish it quickly, but he said there was something else to do first. The third young master still played dead, suspecting everyone else had been wiped out. An arrow landed right beside him, sending chills down his spine. Lin Ni cheered upon seeing he was alive, asking if the boss was dead. Shen Qing replied it had only a sliver of HP left. The third young master knelt, begging for mercy and admitting fault. He said he could spare him and even share XP if he agreed to help with something. He asked what it was, but Shen Qing said he couldn't reveal it yet. Shen Qing drew his bow in threat, forcing a choice. The third young master secretly planned to use the time to secure his position and level up. He asked if refusing meant being killed immediately. He nodded bats, stressing he only trusted those with greed. The third young master forced a smile, promising full support if he was helped to keep his leader position. Shen Qing smiled faintly, drawing his bow and making him turn pale. A blazing arrow finished off the dying boss. The system announced he leveled up from 13 to 15 and gained a title. The third young master also reached level 9. The third young master thanked him, saying he would remember the favor. He took all the loot and coldly refused the title of boss. He warned that if the man used his name for evil, he would face dire consequences. The third young master bowed, swearing loyalty to Shen Qing. He called Lin Ni over, saying it was time to leave. He told him he would call when needed. And the third young master quickly nodded in agreement. The third young master vowed to repay Shen Qing's kindness. On the way back, Lin Ni cheerfully praised him as both skilled and handsome, agreeing to marriage and calling him husband. He nearly choked, snapping that she was a child NPC, and calling him that would make others think he was a pedophile. Lin Ni got angry, lunging to bite him, insisting she wasn't a child. She claimed to be a maiden, making him shake his head and curse the one who designed her. He sighed and accepted it, then moved on to check the loot. The inventory showed White Wolf pants of silver grade level 15, boosting evasion and agility, with doubled speed at full HP. He immediately put them on, wondering if the speed could let him fly. He picked up refined steel wolf claw, a silver grade assassin weapon, boosting critical damage and teleport ambush. He dismissed it as useless for himself. He obtained White Wolf hide, a rare item that could summon 2 phantom wolf cubs to detect hidden targets. He spent money to learn the skill immediately. In addition, he collected 3 crystal coins, 42 gold coins, and 17 silver coins. Elsewhere, Madame Ko impatiently waited for the two, yawning. She scolded the village chief for letting Lin Ni go with a low-level player, insisting he would surely die fighting the White Wolf King. Just then, Shen Qing returned with Lin Ni. The girl ran to hug her mother, boasting she was safely protected by him. He tossed the white wolf hide to the village chief, saying he had brought back the wolf's head. The chief was astonished at his ability. She took out a hidden intermediate dungeon map as a reward for his service. The system announced the quest complete. He accepted the map with a smile. Lin Ni pulled his hand, asking if he was about to leave. He teased, asking if she wanted to come along. Madame Ko pulled her daughter back, scolding him for trying to seduce her. Lin Ni struggled, insisting on going. She ordered him to leave quickly now that he had the map. He regretted that the White Wolf King's head, so valuable, was only exchanged for a map. The village chief snorted coldly, suspecting he wanted to take advantage. He laughed, saying he only wanted a reward worthy of the effort. He activated the title and received a skill from the chief after her reluctant approval. It was a high-level attack skill, requiring charge-up, with wide range and strong penetration. Shen Qing grew curious and fired a double arrow into the water. The immense power made him marvel in praise. He paid to learn the skill, testing long-range shots through terrain, while the chief proudly explained. Shen Qing bid farewell to the children, telling them to grow up fast. Leaving the novice village, he sped over the water toward stronger areas. Madame Ko shouted angrily after him for abandoning them. In a flash, he had left the starting zone. When opening the new quest, the ground suddenly shook violently. Before him appeared a magnificent city named Roy. He realized this was a place full of treasures. Recalling his previous life, where a poor start made him miss precious opportunities, he vowed to do it differently this time. He was determined to take revenge on those who had caused him pain. Before entering the city, he organized his items and sold excess gear for money. The crowded auction house pleased him as it meant quick sales. A bunny-eared staff member asked his needs, and he said he wanted to auction items. She explained the procedure, fees, and asked if he wanted anonymity. He chose to remain anonymous to avoid harassment or entanglements. Inside, the host invited number 1888 to present their item. A beautiful girl stepped forward, enchanting many onlookers. She introduced a ring that increased luck and item drop rate. The crowd chatted, mostly admiring her looks, while the item fetched a high price. Shen Qing recognized it as a rare item with only 2 rarity tiers. The diamond ring was extremely rare, greatly boosting luck and drop rate. Bidding began from a low price. The host asked if anyone would offer higher than the current bid. Shen Qing immediately raised it to 1 gold coin. Everyone was shocked at paying gold for a bronze item. Someone else instantly bid 10 gold coins. The crowd was stunned by the sudden price jump. They thought it was madness to buy a common-grade accessory. Shen Qing guessed his rival also knew its true value. He raised it straight to 30 gold coins. The opponent hesitated, and others marveled, calling him a tycoon. The man angrily shouted 50 gold coins, sparking more chatter. He provoked, challenging Shen Qing's wallet. Shen Qing countered with 100 gold coins and a cold stare. The hall froze, then erupted at the bid. Someone exclaimed, and the host asked one last time for higher offers. After 2 calls, the opponent gave up. The item was sold at 100 gold coins. The system announced he obtained the ring with 8 hours to evolve it, urging immediate use. The rival angrily vowed to remember him. Shen Qing dismissed him as all talk. A soft hand touched his face. The bunny-eared staff flirtatiously declared he belonged to her tonight. He asked in confusion what she meant. She winked, hinting he had bid to buy her, not the item. He was flustered, unaware of such a rule. She whispered that the virtual experience here was better than reality. He realized the rival had bid because of this special activity. He praised her looks and invited her along. She replied with a smile and asked how he wanted the experience. Suddenly, a strong presence from behind startled her, making her ask who had arrived. A cloaked man smiled and invited him to see precious goods. Shen Qing agreed to take a look. The man assumed he was a rich fool to exploit for overpriced sales. He showed off an array of rare gear and materials to entice him. Shen Qing scoffed, saying those items were too mediocre to flaunt. The cloaked man tried to sell a silver bow at a high price, but was rejected for poor quality. He was stunned at being so bluntly dismissed. He threatened that Shen Qing must either buy and apologize or be beaten. Shen Qing coldly asked back, showing readiness to fight. He pointed to the guards, warning the man not to cling after being refused. He cautioned that secret dealings here would be punished. He turned pale, cursed angrily, and left. Shen Qing thought that without the prohibition law, he would have dealt with him immediately. He turned to the bunny-eared girl to confirm she would obey him. She blushed and agreed. He told her to stay and guard the auction, sell 3 silver weapons for gold, and gather all refining crystal shards. She was surprised to be given this task, and he confirmed it. He believed her charm would win every auction. She thought she was a top expert, yet was given such a small job. She irritably questioned him, and he reassured her with extra pay, making her immediately ask where to meet again. He replied he would find her himself. Watching him leave, she secretly admired his wealthy and confident aura. Shen Cheng planned to gather refining crystal shards before the new map opened because of their future value. He told himself the next step was upgrading equipment. At the forge, he saw a blacksmith looking troubled. The man lamented losing his hammer, like starving without food. He picked up a hammer from the floor and asked if it was needed. The blacksmith happily confirmed. The man thanked him and offered to upgrade one piece of equipment for free. He realized this was a hidden quest he knew from his past life. He agreed, gave the 7-star bow to upgrade to max, and noted he could buy cheap materials here. After 20 minutes, the blacksmith returned saying it was done. Shen Cheng was surprised at the quick upgrade and wanted to see the result. The blacksmith said it only reached +10 due to lacking high materials, free once, costing 20 gold, and he felt the bow improved significantly. He thought +10 was enough since he would soon change bows, and the blacksmith invited him back later. Leaving the forge, he reminded himself, Roy City had bosses up to level 60, so he needed to wait for skill cooldown before moving on. Suddenly, an arrow shot out from the darkness. He dodged in time but still got grazed on the face, bleeding heavily. The hidden attacker's voice praised his surprising escape. Shen Cheng recognized him from the auction and said it was a misunderstanding if it was about the ring. The man denied it, saying it was too late. He asked what the man wanted. The man signaled for his comrades. A group appeared, dragging a tied-up Guolini. The girl groaned in pain. Shen Cheng questioned why they caught her, saying she still had tasks to do. The cloaked man demanded a share of the gold used to buy the ring. Lin Ni cried and apologized for having all her money and refining crystal shards stolen. The old seller appeared, kicked her, and mocked, meeting him again. Shen Cheng gritted his teeth, not caring about the stolen goods but refusing to let anyone hit his people. They laughed mockingly and threatened indecent acts. One tore Lin Ni's clothes, making her panic and cry for help. Shen Cheng's eyes flared with murderous intent. He raised his bow, used strongest strike, and cursed the scum. One charged to block but was pierced through by the arrow. The system reported an instant kill, and he logged out immediately. The remaining two froze, one shouting to kill him. Shen Cheng snapped his fingers, summoning 2 wolf phantoms, and shot blazing arrows that instantly took down both. From the shadows, someone stepped out praising him, saying he wouldn't fight. He said the ones who died were just pawns, introduced himself as Shu Bu Sha, rank 5 on the heaven list, and that he had already gathered Shen Cheng's information. Shen Cheng coldly asked his intentions. Shibusha guessed he was Zhao Ziwanga, top of the heaven list. He confirmed his identity. Shen Cheng tossed a pouch with 400 gold and 70 refining crystal shards, telling him to take it like someone sensible. Shibusha unexpectedly proposed forming an alliance to create a guild, promising power and pleasure. Shen Cheng refused, making Shibusha ask in surprise about his goal. He coldly replied that his only goal was revenge. Shibusha's face darkened. He stepped back, saying he would wait for him to change his mind. As he was about to leave, Shen Cheng shouted for him to stop. He shot a blazing arrow that struck his clothes. Shibusha fell, shocked, asking who attacked from behind. He realized a wolf phantom was still blocking his path. He tried to negotiate, warning that killing him would give a red name status. The wolf phantom stayed still, blocking the way. Shen Cheng mockingly asked if he knew what kind of person he hated most. He nervously asked, "What kind?" He roared that it was those who betrayed their teammates. Shibusha panicked and tried to speak further. A violent explosion sounded along with his miserable scream. The system announced to the whole server that Shen Cheng had killed Shibusha, rewarding 50,000 gold. All of Roy City was in an uproar, discussing the top heaven list player killing the rank 5. Players saw it as a huge opportunity and called to unite for the bounty hunt. Shen Cheng cursed inwardly, realizing news of killing a Heaven List expert would make him hunted everywhere. The bunny-eared girl nervously asked why he hadn't left yet. She warned that the 50,000 gold bounty would attract countless people. He sneered, saying he hadn't even paid her yet. He handed her a pouch of 400 gold in thanks. She happily said she was just a little short of being free. Shen Cheng was shocked to hear about her being forced into prostitution. He sternly asked if there were other victims. She hesitantly said she only knew they worked for the Rising Sun Corporation. Shen Cheng froze, killing intent surging at the name of the corporation. She apologized, begging him not to ask further. He sighed and agreed not to force her. She suddenly kissed his cheek and thanked him for understanding. She promised to repay him, called him a hero, then left. Shen Cheng thought she was originally kind, but forced to do bad things, suspecting the culprit in the corporation was an old enemy or their subordinate. Suddenly, a fireball shot toward him from afar. He blocked it bare-handed, eyes cold, ready to face the incoming hunters. A group charged from a distance with a deadly aura as if seeking death. Yang Cheng San Shao suddenly raised his hand, calling out to his elder brother. At that moment, Shen Cheng closed in with ice-cold eyes. He questioned if they planned to use the chance to take him down, making San Shao panic and beg for mercy. He explained his group only wanted to help. San Shao told his subordinates to quickly greet the big boss. They all bowed respectfully in unison. Shen Cheng mockingly asked what rank they planned to give him. San Shao immediately ordered absolute protection, killing anyone who came close. Shen Cheng sarcastically asked how they dared, and what if it was a top expert? He gave a wry smile, saying they would report the enemy's information and acknowledge Shen Cheng as the real expert. Shen Qing thought it was unexpected that he valued loyalty, forming a gang despite lacking strong abilities. He nodded at the goodwill but insisted on retreating to handle matters himself. Tam Shao refused, saying he knew a safe hiding place. Shen Qing declined and wanted to take the chance to issue a challenge. His aura erupted, startling and impressing the subordinates. From afar, someone watched, mumbling to confirm his identity. He was surprised about the 50,000 gold bounty. A burly man suddenly appeared, pinned him down, and instantly knocked him out. The man reported that this side was cleared. The nearby lackeys were almost entirely wiped out. Through the eyes of the phantom wolf Xiaolan, Shen Qing saw another group slaughtering. He noted that the remaining ones were quite formidable. He asked Tam Shao if he was sure about not leaving, predicting his comrades were all dead. Tam Shao was shocked, calling for his men but receiving no reply. He burst into tears, apologizing in grief. Panicking, he asked what to do next, but Shen Qing only told him to blow the blood flute again. The phantom wolf pack charged out, and Tam Shao panicked, preparing to attack. Shen Qing stopped him, saying they were subordinates gathering information. He stroked the wolves as if commanding an army. Tam Shao admired the pack's reconnaissance ability. Shen Qing received intel from one wolf and softly said he understood. He reported only 2 wanted targets remained out of 76, shocking Tam Shao. He doubted it, believing his subordinates couldn't have killed so many. Shen Qing coldly said it was his own phantom wolf pack that did the killing. In nearby areas, phantom wolf clones kept killing pursuers, making it seem like he appeared everywhere. Tam Shao emotionally admitted the big brother was too strong, regretting his men didn't survive. Shen Qing patted his shoulder, advising to keep loyalty but avoid wallowing, and to train to not become a burden. A girl approached, mocking that finding the wanted man was troublesome because he had so many guards. Through the phantom wolf's eyes, Shen Qing identified the foes. Rank 23 on the Heaven List, Level 8, Wanderer King of Cruelty, and Rank 8, Level 10, Summoner Haki. He mocked and pushed Tam Shao into the fight, telling him it was time to shine. Tam Shao panicked. Shen Qing said killing the two would raise his rank and test his worth. Tam Shao swallowed hard and agreed to take the task. The King of Cruelty sneered, taunting about attack speed. Tam Shao took a slight step back, eyes probing, but tried to look ready to strike. He suspected the real expert was behind and planned to probe with tricks. He reassured himself, then mocked his opponent as cowardly, declaring he'd take their life on the spot. Tam Shao suddenly flushed red with anger and shouted loudly. He cursed the two arrogant foes and charged with burning momentum. In an instant, an invisible force struck him, making him spit blood and lose a large amount of vitality. Haki smirked and unleashed a summoning nightmare. A giant colossus appeared, while Tam Shao transformed ferociously, roaring for blood. He launched a massive punch straight at the girl. She remained calm, forming a sturdy stone wall to block the blow. She then summoned a monster 3 times larger than her opponent's, shocking Tam Shao as his full-force strike was nullified. She declared her Nightmare Colossus was both defensive and offensive, nearly invulnerable. Haki smiled in appreciation of this power. He remarked the ability was formidable and asked the King of Cruelty's opinion. Before he could finish, the King of Cruelty, who was about to launch a sneak attack, suddenly froze. The King of Cruelty was stunned that his secret teleportation skill was detected by Haki. Immediately after, he felt an overwhelming pressure descend. 2 of Haki's clones dropped from above, crushing him flat. Haki approached and coldly ordered him to stay still. He said he would deal with him after the battle. At the same time, the 2 colossi clashed, causing violent tremors. The girl's stone wall remained solid and unmoved. The stone beast swung its arm and flung Tam Shao away. He rolled on the ground in a miserable state. He angrily admitted his power was far inferior. A massive stone hand continued to slam down. Tam Shao quickly leapt aside, narrowly escaping. He smiled, realizing he was slightly faster than his opponent. But another arm suddenly grabbed him tightly from behind. He shouted at the girl for using a sneak attack. She suggested teaming up to kill Haki and split the spoils. Tam Shao firmly refused, saying he would never betray his big brother. She mocked him, then coldly declared she would kill him. Her hands spread wide, stretching the space. Then she suddenly clapped them together, creating a powerful shockwave. The force made Tam Shao lose his transformation and collapse weakly. She mocked that he was still alive. She said she would now demonstrate how to take down Haki. Despite severe injuries, Tam Shao clung to her leg, shouting to stop her. Haki heard and was momentarily surprised. He gave a rare smile, then immediately darkened his expression, scolding him for being troublesome. Haki delivered a strong kick, sending Tam Shao flying. He rolled toward the Nightmare Colossus. Haki coldly ordered the Colossus to stomp him to death. The giant foot lifted, ready to crush. Tam Shao trembled, stood up, but exhausted, only managing to curse. At that moment, a bright ray pierced the Colossus, leaving a large hole in its body. Haki's face turned pale, shocked and denying what just happened. He wondered who could destroy the Colossus with a single blow. In an instant, a figure appeared behind him, asserting only he could. Haki, confused, asked when he had arrived. He coldly asked the girl if she understood the consequences of attacking his junior. Tam Shao cried tears of joy, calling him Big Brother. He still harbored doubts about the man's identity and power. The girl smiled, confirming she wanted the bounty. She said it would be the capital to found a guild and would belong to her. She summoned a giant shadow that enveloped him, forming a dark hand to squeeze tight. She smugly declared he would die within 5 seconds from blood drain. His blood dropped rapidly, losing 300 in an instant. He calmly walked through the darkness, mocking the technique as too weak. The girl began to back away, showing clear fear. He recalled that in his past life, Haki was leader of the Long Yun Guild, famed as a genius who leveled quickly by spending money on resources. He coldly gave her 2 choices: take double the money to work for him, or be killed immediately. She instantly chose the first option. He nodded, allowed her to leave, promised to send the money, and told her to name the guild Lang Yun. She looked at him with some suspicion, reminding him to keep his word. She turned away, vanishing into the night. He handed Tam Shao a recovery potion. Tam Shao drank it all, his body quickly recovering. He happily thanked him and joked about being fine again. He sternly ordered him to collect the severed head. Pointing to the unconscious cruel king, he said it was his share. Tam Shao's eyes flashed with danger. He approached, mocking the once arrogant opponent. Tam Shao warned the foe never to target his big brother again, gathering energy to finish him. The cruel king panicked and begged for mercy. A notification announced the Qing Shi gang leader rose on the heaven ranking from 26th to 22nd. Another notice forced him to log out. Removing the VR helmet, he sighed, realizing he'd played 15 hours. He pondered, seeing his preparations nearly complete, planning to leave for Whip City tomorrow. He thought of upgrading the city before bringing his sister into the game to speed her leveling. Hesitant about trying the mage path, he decided to delay due to other matters. He called Dai Cheng, asking him to come over immediately for something important. Soon after, a young man knocked and was invited in. Dai Cheng respectfully asked why he'd been summoned. He sipped coffee, coldly ordering an investigation into Xiao Tiantian's group. Dai Cheng agreed, noting the enemy hadn't given up, which was a good sign. He gave no reply, quietly enjoying his coffee. Dai Cheng bowed and left to gather information. As the door closed, he smiled, thinking this was only the start and more major moves lay ahead. His little sister ran over, eyes sparkling with curiosity, asking what he was doing. He gently patted her head, saying he was just in a board meeting. She was doubtful. Without waiting for an explanation, she hugged him happily, glad he was back to normal. Then she worriedly told him the board had given Xiao Tiantian the acting chairman position. He pressed his lips together, eyes cold, confirming he already knew. He reassured her, saying 2 key members had been bribed, but it was fine. This time he came only to confirm he was alive and still held supreme authority. Scene shifts to the company meeting room. The atmosphere heavy. Xiao Tiantian chaired the meeting, asking who supported the new project. The 2 figures, Teshu and An Ba, immediately raised their hands in favor. Other members followed one by one, voices of agreement rising. Xiao felt smug for seizing power so quickly and decided to start the project next week. A deep voice from the corner objected, drawing everyone's gaze. Xiao awkwardly apologized, then asked Haishu why he disagreed. Haishu sternly argued the project harmed the company's reputation, could be illegal, and violated past strategy. Xiao sneered, saying the old plan was outdated and he only cared about large profits. He coldly forced Haishu to choose between agreeing or leaving. Haishu grew angry, stepping forward to challenge Xiao to repeat himself. An Ba intervened to calm them, but spoke with a hint of mockery. He suggested keeping decorum and voting, passing the project 7-1. A voice of opposition came from the doorway, stunning the whole room. Everyone turned to look at the newcomer. Xiao was shocked, trembling as he recognized President Shen's arrival. President Shen coldly entered, questioning his own authority. Xiao forced a flattering smile, mentioning everyone wanted him back. And Ba chimed in, praising President Shen's health but implying he needn't approve minor matters. President Shen calmly declared he would use his veto to halt the project. Teshu tried to object but was stopped by An Ba, the 2 exchanging subtle looks. Xiao reluctantly agreed to delay, suppressing his anger. President Shen thought it wasn't time to destroy him yet, then suggested Xiao find another plan. He scanned the room, deciding he could only trust Haishu and temporarily retreat. As he left, An Ba quietly called out to Xiao. He responded with a murderous glare. Xiao cursed in anger at President Shen ruining his plan. He lowered his voice, vowing to act ruthlessly to achieve his goal. An Ba coldly pointed out it was very hard to harm President Shen now due to tight security. Xiao's eyes turned venomous, declaring he would find a chance to kill him, but for now, must silence the fat man. Scene shifts to Haishu sitting in his car, deep in thought on a deserted road. Rain suddenly fell, and a mysterious car pulled alongside. From that car, a gun barrel aimed straight at his head. Suddenly, a gunshot rang out. The bullet killed the gunman, thanks to Haishu's driver reacting instantly. His accomplice tried to shoot back but was distracted by a sudden car horn. A massive truck charged forward as if to crush everything. Chung Long, Hai Shu's driver, calmly told him to hold on tight. He accelerated, turning the car to face the enemy. The truck driver snorted coldly, showing disdain. He raised his gun at Chung Long. Chung Long immediately fired back, killing him. The truck lost control, exploded, and veered off course. Hai Shu exhaled in relief, furious as he confirmed Shao had sent assassins. He thanked Chung Long, but Chung said the thanks should go to President Shen. Hai Shu's eyes burned with hatred, vowing revenge on Shao. Chung Long reported to him that Hai Shu was safe. He replied with a smile, preparing his next move. He put on the VR headset to enter the game. Scene shifts to Whip City, the atmosphere tense. A notice appeared. Whip City had only one player left. Danger level high. He grumbled at the system to stop notifying, his eyes fixed on the massive city wall with the main gate shut tight. He considered taking the detour through the wilderness to Wall City's side gate, but it was dangerous and could miss the main quest, or choose the main quest, defending against nightly Akma army attacks. If he helped the general defend and counterattack successfully, he'd be invited to be Whip City's guardian. Then he would get a secret map to the demon lair, many rewards, and a special golden armor set. He decided to first obtain the demon equipment before leveling up. A new notice confirmed the conditions to become a city guardian. He told himself that upgrading this item to diamond level would put him far ahead of rivals. Without hesitation, he summoned 3 clones to help evolve the ring. But the ring didn't respond. He suspected it only had 2 tiers, bronze and diamond, so it couldn't evolve midway. He tried again but failed. The ring remained silent. His expression darkened as he weighed the risks of gambling in such a dangerous place. He clenched his fist, believing success would solve all resource problems. With determination, he activated the evolution. The ring flared, transforming to diamond with multiple effects, boosting drop rates, money, and rare items. He was thrilled, realizing he had hit the jackpot. Checking his gear, he prepared to wait until midnight. Time passed quickly as night fell. From afar, demons howled as they approached, shapes flickering in the mist. He watched from a high position, excited for the battle to start. General Pian, clad in black armor, ordered the troops to prepare for combat. Level 20-30 monsters charged with grotesque appearances. He smirked in delight at the boss's arrival. General Pian shouted to fight to the death to defend the city, then led the charge. He swung his sword like a whirlwind. He observed from afar, hoping the defenders could hold out. He only needed to time his strike to claim all the loot. General Pian struck hard at the level 30 boss, knocking aside weaker monsters. The boss countered, unleashing a dark skill that forced Pian back, dirtied and disheveled. He roared for the monsters to be slain. His next attack was countered, his sword knocked away, and he was thrown down. Soldiers cried out the general's name in panic. He realized this was unlike his past life, and the NPC couldn't be allowed to die. Without hesitation, he shot an arrow hitting the boss's hand mid-attack. He rushed in to shield him, challenging the foe at close range. The clones attacked simultaneously, tearing away half the boss's body. General Pian was astonished at the stranger before him. The boss, near death, could barely resist. He ordered the clones to finish it. A clone's arrow pierced space, causing a violent explosion. All the monsters were wiped out. General Pian, impressed, handed him a box as a reward. He opened it, eyes blazing with excitement. But the next moment, he was utterly shocked. It was the hero's true heart, an item with attributes affecting the real world.